Where did you feel like really tangible progress was made in the offense from maybe before the bye to then?
Yeah, I think some of the things we wanted to focus on. Is this always on? Okay. Gotcha. All right. Some of the things we wanted to focus on: get Jerry going, get the ball to the perimeter. There's some other things that I would talk about. Don't want to schematically give anything away, but felt like there was progress there. Felt like our guys had a really good week of prep. Really disappointed in the result. Ultimately walking off of that field and how the game ends. And look, as a play caller, there's always things you want back. Felt like we put our guys in position to have success throughout the game, and then when you do that and you don't have success, you always look to why and what you can do during the week to help your players have that success. And then, there's going to be a handful of calls that you make that the defense, won the rep, and that happens in football throughout a game. And then there's a couple of plays there that you say didn't put our guys in the right position. And those are the ones as a play caller that eat at you. But definitely felt like trending in the right direction. Some of the things that we wanted to emphasize without going into too much detail schematically, we got done. And we got to build off that and start winning some games.
Not only 4th and 1. What were you hoping for, and then what happened?
Yeah. Well, you talk about a play call you want back. You start there. Had a lot of confidence in the call on 3rd down that we'd pick up the first. Felt like we maybe lost a yard there, and look, in hindsight, you want to execute those situations. We made an aggressive play call. We didn't work out. They had a good call on defense, and we just didn't execute it at the end of the day. And, those are ones as a play caller that you want to always put your guys in the right position. We were running it pretty good at that point on that drive. So certainly could have handled that differently and executed it differently. So we'll learn from it. I'll learn from it and get better on it.
I think you only used the Huntington one snap.
Yep.
Fullbacks don't exist in college. So
we played with one at Notre Dame my whole time there.
Okay,
yeah.
so you're not anti-fullback.
I love fullbacks. Okay. If I was stockier, I probably would have been a fullback.
Okay, so he seems to make every block when he's in there.
Yeah.
And after what you just said, 4th and 1. Fullback.
Yeah, like I said, want that call back. You're right on that, and definitely. We executed the short yardage situation that was inside of 1, just that 1 earlier in the game. We felt like this was a little bit longer, but he's done such a great job for us in his role. There is a balance of pulling him from defense where he is playing, pulling him from special teams where he is playing. Obviously he wasn't available a few weeks back. So all those go into it. But Aiden's been a key part of our success in short yardage situations and goal line situations that we do have a lot of trust in him to get his job done.
What about the protection issues, and do you feel confident going forward that you guys can get that fixed?
Yeah, they got a couple good rushers there, first-round picks. And always, like we've said all year, when you look at protection, it's so much more than just the offensive line or the individuals. It's schematic. It's how the routes are getting open, how the progressions are going, situations in the game on what you're trying to do. So you look at it as a coach and, okay, are we putting them in the right position? When you are, and there's an error, then you got to look at why that happened. Is it something fundamentally we need to fix? Is it something maybe the look of the defense we didn't get across to them and they didn't understand mentally on where they're supposed to be going? And then, there's the couple where you say, hey, are we putting them in the right spot? So after a game, win or loss, that's really how you evaluate it. Like, did we put them in the right spot? Did they execute it? Yes, great, move on. We put them in the right spot. Did they not execute it? Why? Is it fundamental, something we can fix? Is it an understanding, something we need to fix? Or is it, hey, they want a matchup and give their hats off to them and move on to the next play? So that's where our focus is, on the areas where we can improve our guys and get them better fundamentally or get them better mentally pre-snap on understanding what we're trying to do. And that's our job as coaches.
And the Ravens, with the way they've been playing in the past couple of weeks,
yeah.
They're going to present a ton of challenges for you guys that way, aren't
Yeah, they do a great job schematically. They have a lot of people that can play in different roles, Kyle Hamilton being one of them. He lines up all over the field. They have a veteran group up front that have good rush patterns, good games and stunts. They use, personnel in a multiple of ways. So, the back's got to be tied into it. Our line's got to be tied into it. Our tight ends, the pass catchers themselves, it's always a race between them and the pass rushers to get open. And, our whole group needs to understand how critical that is.
Go back to the 4th and 1. It did look like Tillman was open for a first down. Now, is the reason you feel the play call failed because you put the rookie quarterback in position of having to make a play that was not the right time to do it?
Yeah, I should have run the ball.
Okay, because Tillman was open, right?
I don't want to get into the specifics of the play itself. You know, you can freeze almost any play, right, and say, hey, this guy's open, this guy's open. Great. I want to make sure I'm putting our players in the right spot. I made a call, an aggressive one. It didn't work, and we got to move on to the next.
Dylan took over as starting quarterback. You guys run like 4 times the amount of rollouts than you did with Joe in the first 4 games. Is that something that you think Dylan's skill set is uniquely like positioned for, or what are you accomplishing? You think when you roll?
There's a combination of things. Skill set. You know, those give plays to get outside the pocket. You know. Allows us to get on the move, allows the line to block a little bit differently. There's a lot of benefits to those, and you know, we're always looking at ways to maximize our players' skill set, not just Dylan, but you know, other guys up front and across the board.
I know, like you and Kevin have said that you don't see like the height popping up in any way, but is that tied into rolling him out a little bit more? I know other quarterbacks like Tua has said I can't necessarily see exactly over the line. I have to look into certain windows and certain pockets of the line protection.
Yeah. Brock Purdy has this quote. He was on a podcast in the summer. I can't remember who it was with. It was a former quarterback. And he talks about like 60% of the passes, you don't see it, you know, and other tall quarterbacks have said the same thing, right? You're playing with big men out there and windows close fast. And he said, you have to trust the look you're seeing. You have to anticipate. You're really throwing to spots versus different coverages. And that takes time. And I think Brock in the quote talks about how he's a rookie and how he's grown into that and the comfort in that and the confidence in that. And so much of our stress right now with the young quarterbacks is, hey, when we get looks that we know we like this concept versus, you know, we got to trust in that, anticipate, let it go. And then, you know, part of the job of the quarterback is, hey, we might call something that it's not the ideal look. How do we solve that problem?
On the Jerry Jeudy touchdown, there was guys talking about how you sort of noticed the way they were defending those crossing routes. I think Jerry actually talked about it. What made, after the interception, what kind of made you feel like that was the perfect time to run that play?
It was a weird game because, like, we didn't have as much time between series because of how the game went as an offensive staff, right? Like, it was quick turnaround twice, then we have a turnover. So 3 possessions, you have less time, you know, in between series to discuss things. But we had hit Jerry on a crosser. I think we had him on another one at that point. It felt like we were, you know, we had a complimentary play in to get to. It was going to be on the next series. We didn't know we were going to be on the 22-yard line in that spot, but it was something that we had talked about as, hey, we want to come back to this to complement what we've been doing. And look, Jerry and Dylan made a hell of a play on that one. You know, the protection was excellent with Harold on the front side, and it was really good to get Jerry making that play, and it was a great throw from Dylan, and those guys executed at a high level.
We were trying to get a handle on this yesterday, and I don't know if we really got anywhere. But in terms of just some of the throws that seemed pretty off on the part of Dylan, is there something mechanical happening? Is it just, I don't know. Can you?
Yeah, I think it goes back to the point a couple of points I was just mentioning, like evaluate it. Sometimes, hey, there's something mechanical or fundamental we want to correct. Is there something from a understanding during the week game plan that we want to correct? Sometimes quarterbacks miss. Sometimes, you know, rain or weather can affect, you know, all those things can affect it. So you try to boil each play down into its own individual play, and then what caused this, and then how can we correct that? Look, I've had my finger slip off a ball and you miss. You know, if that's the case, great, we'll get the next one. If there's, hey, I wasn't quite sure on the coverage, then that's where we dig back in as coaches and talk through the reason of why we're doing things. And, you know, all those are really important.
So it was a number of different. It's a number
I
of
think
different-
for every position, when you don't have the execution, that's what you're trying to get after. If we miss a block, did we understand the scheme? Did we set incorrectly? Did they just win? Did you step on the guard? Like, there's a lot of different things that go into every position as you evaluate it. Did you win at the top of a route? Like, that's our job as coaches when you evaluate the game and what happens, to look at the reasons why things are happening. And then, you know, there's obviously things that are correctable, and then there's things that you say, okay, we're going to move on from that and we'll get the next one.
Kevin is mentioning that With any young quarterback, there's going to be ups and downs, and regardless of like the physical aspect, have you seen through start 1 through start 5 that like Dylan's like he's making the right decisions, like his eyes are in the right place, he's seeing things as you guys want him to see it on the field?
Yeah, I mean, we always grade that part of him, and he grades out pretty high. Look, nobody's going to bat 1,000. There's, certainly I don't bat 1,000 calling it. Nobody's going to bat 1,000 in really anything they do, but I would say he grades out where we want him. His, Dylan's prep and where he is mentally for a rookie is really well beyond, he's mature that way. And then we want to make sure that, those things that are happening during the week, we go and execute them on Sundays.
How were you able to get Jerry so involved, especially early when it had been such a struggle in the first 8 games? What was different inside?
Yeah, those are the questions that it's hard for me to get into the details there. Jerry does a lot of things well, and I'll just say we're trying to put him in position to do those things in the right spots, in the right moments. And, we talked last week, when you get your good players going early, usually it helps them throughout the game. So, Jerry's a very talented guy who's worked extremely hard, and, he put himself in that position to have success.
And when you go 95 yards, great offensive, then you take a return. It just seems like this year the offense, I don't know if you agree, it's the youth or whatever it is, just cannot answer or overcome adversity right away. You guys were in a funk until you had the Hickman interception and you got the touchdown.
Yeah, combination of errors, that we just have to correct, and there's probably no one answer to that. We want to make sure that we are playing sound. We had some penalties that set us back. We have a negative play that sets us back. We have a missed opportunity that sets you back, the chains, and those have been hard for us to overcome. And, we just want to continue to play sound and trust in the process that we're putting forward, and trust that those things will click for us going ahead.
Do you feel like because this is the second game that you're going to be able to call for Dylan, do you feel like you have so much more of a feel for it now, just even though it's only the second time you're going to be doing this for him? I mean, do you feel like it's just going to be so much better?
Yeah, I think that rapport grows as you continue to call it for the whole offense. Like, you start to build that relationship as the play caller and the offense, and the more swings you get at it, the closer that gets.
So the Ravens, their last 1 million sacks. Yet the last 4 games, nobody scored over 19 points. Have they changed their defense philosophy somehow and are playing good despite no pass rush?
I mean, they're playing really well as a whole. They create pressure, like in unique ways. Obviously they made the trade 4 weeks ago. That brought 14 down closer to the ball. I think that's a big change for them. A couple of years back, they were playing predominantly in that set. Changed it up midway through the year last year. They have a good group of players that play complementary on one another, and like I said, they have versatility to them. They're playing a really good brand of football right now. Whether they're generating pressure or not, they're limiting points. They're creating turnovers. They're limiting points. They're getting key stops when they need it. So they're really playing at a high level. I have a lot of respect for the staff and how they put together their defense and the way they challenge an offense.
The season high snaps from Malachi Corley, how much of that was a byproduct of maybe trying to get a skill set similar to Isaiah in there, or was that something over the bye week that you thought we want to get him more involved in the offense?
Yeah, Malachi's done a nice job for us since he's got an opportunity to play. He's created plays. He's made the most of his opportunities. He has a skill set that can provide a lot for an offense, and give Malachi a lot of credit for how he's come in and worked on the scout team, worked before he was active, and now being active every opportunity he's had, he's done a nice job for us.